unlock your world one word at a time, because language isn't just about learning, it's about living. Learning a new language isn't just about words. It's about expanding your horizons, enhancing your career, and connecting with people globally. Whether you are a language learner or educator, the Languages Pedagogy podcast is your go-to resource for expert insights, innovative strategies, and practical tips to supercharge your language journey. Tune in now to sharpen your skills, deepen your understanding, and join a community passionate about the power of language. Let's get started. Wonderful listeners, welcome back to another episode of the Languages Pedagogy podcast. I'm super excited to talk about today's topic because it combines two of the most engaging activities, learning and playing. Yep, we're talking about gamification in language learning. Gamification has been transforming education in recent years, making the process of acquiring new skills, especially languages, not just more efficient, but also more fun. Imagine earning points, unlocking achievements, or battling out on a leaderboard, all while mastering a new language. Sounds intriguing, right? But how exactly does turning learning into a game help us stay motivated? And how does it accelerate our progress? Today we're going to dive into the psychology behind gamification, explore how it engages us as learners, and discuss why it can be one of the most effective tools for language acquisition. Ready to level up your language game? Let's dive in.
Audio Jungle.
First, let's define what we mean by gamification. At its core, gamification means applying elements typically found in games, things like points, leaderboards, achievements, and challenges, to non-game environments, like education. The goal is to make tasks more engaging and enjoyable, turning what might otherwise be mundane into something fun and rewarding. In language learning, gamification turns activities like memorizing vocabulary or practicing grammar into fun challenges. Think of platforms like Duolingo, where you earn points for each correct answer, maintain streaks for consistent practice, and can even compete against others on leaderboards. But gamification goes beyond just adding a competitive edge. It taps into our brain's reward system. When we see progress, whether it's completing a level or earning a badge, our brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical. This motivates us to keep going, and before we know it, what we might have felt like a task now feels like a game we want to keep playing. The genius of gamification is that it creates positive reinforcement. Learning a new language often requires lots of repetition and practice, which can feel tedious over time. But when you gamify that process, you are rewarded for your effort, which keeps you coming back day after day. So, why does gamification work so well when it comes to language learning? The key lies in behavioral psychology. Let's break it down into a few core principles. First, instant feedback and rewards. One of the biggest benefits of gamification is that it provides immediate feedback. In a traditional learning setting, you might not always know how well you're doing until you get a grade or evaluation. But in gamified learning, you receive instant rewards like points, badges, or level ups right after you complete a task. This instant feedback keeps your brain engaged and motivated to keep improving, of course. Second, Dopamine and progress. When we play games, whether it's a video game or a learning game, our brains release dopamine when we succeed. It's the brain's natural way of rewarding progress. Gamified learning taps into this same system, providing a dopamine hit whenever we complete a lesson, earn a badge, or extend a streak. This creates a positive feedback loop. We enjoy the sense of accomplishment, which makes us want to continue learning. Third, tracking progress. In gamification, you can clearly see how far you've come, whether it's through leveling up, completing a streak, or moving up a leaderboard. These visible signs of progress motivate us to keep going. This is especially important in language learning, where progress can sometimes feel slow or imperceptible. Having tangible proof of your achievements keeps you motivated even when the going gets tough. 4. Motivation through competition and collaboration. Many gamified platforms include elements of competition, like leaderboards or collaboration, where learners can work together to achieve goals. For competitive learners, seeing your name on a leaderboard can push you to study harder. Meanwhile, collaborative learners thrive when they can team up with others to reach a common goal. Gamification taps into both types of motivation, ensuring everyone feels engaged. 5th, autonomy and choice. In a gamified learning environment, learners often have a sense of autonomy. They can choose which challenges to tackle, what pace to learn at, and which skills to focus on. This sense of control makes learners feel more invested in their progress and encourages them to take ownership of their learning journey. Now that we understand the psychological principles behind gamification, let's explore how it can actually accelerate your language learning progress. First, repetition without boredom. One of the biggest challenges in language learning is the need for repetition. Whether it's vocabulary or grammar, you need to practice things over and over to internalize them. But repetition can get boring, right? Gamification solves this by turning repetitive tasks into fun, engaging challenges. For instance, apps like Memrise and Anki use spaced repetition with game-like elements, ensuring that you review words just before you're likely to forget them, all while keeping the progress fun and dynamic. Second, confidence through small wins. Games are all about small victories. Each time you complete a level or unlock a new badge, you feel a sense of accomplishment in language learning. These small wins build your confidence over time. For instance, mastering 10 new words might not feel like a huge achievement in a traditional classroom setting, but earning a badge for it on a gamified platform makes the accomplishment feel tangible. The more confident you feel, the more willing you are to tackle harder challenges. Third, consistency is key. The secret to mastering a language is consistency. It's not about cramming for hours in one sitting, but about practicing a little every day. Gamification encourages this daily practice through features like streaks or daily challenges. Platforms like Duolingo, for example, reward you for practicing every day by maintaining a streak. This small incentive can be incredibly motivating and helps turn language learning into a daily habit. Fourth, mistakes are fun, not failures. One of the hardest things for language learners to overcome is the fear of making mistakes. But in a gamified environment, mistakes are part of the process, just like in a video game where you die and try it again. Language learners are encouraged to keep experimenting and pushing themselves without fear of judgment. the key to progress in language learning is trial and error, and gamification normalizes this process. Fifth, mastery through levels. Gamification often involves levels or stages that learners must complete before moving on. This structure ensures that you master foundational skills before progressing to more advanced material. By breaking the learning process into bite-sized stages, gamified platforms ensure that learners build a strong foundation before tackling more complex grammar or vocabulary. Let's look at some of the most popular platforms that have successfully integrated gamification into language learning. How do these apps make learning feel more like play? First one, Duolingo, perhaps the most well-known gamified language learning platform. Duolingo uses a variety of game elements to keep learners engaged. Streaks, where learners earn rewards for practicing daily, are one of its strongest features. The app also uses XP points, leaderboards, and crowns to motivate learners to progress through lessons. Each lesson feels like a mini-game, and learners are rewarded with gems and badges for their hard work. Second one, Memrise. Memrise incorporates spaced repetition with a twist of gamification. The app introduces new words and phrases through interactive quizzes and real-life video clips. Learners can earn points for correct answers and move up on leaderboards. Memrise also uses mnemonics to help learners create fun association with vocabulary, making it easier to remember words long-term. The third one, Lingadeer. Lingadeer is another great example of how gamification can keep learners engaged. The app incorporates achievement badges, progress bars, and level-based learning to guide users through lessons in a structured yet flexible way. The sense of progression motivates learners to keep pushing forward, mastering new skills one step at a time. The fourth one, Busuu. While Busuu has more structured learning paths, it still incorporates gamified elements like goals and achievements. One unique aspect of Busuu is its community feature, where learners can submit written or spoken exercises and receive feedback from native speakers. This real-time feedback combined with gamified progress tracking creates a dynamic and interactive learning experience. The fifth one, Quizlet. Though not exclusively a language app, Quizlet uses gamification through its match and gravity games, where learners race against the clock to match terms or answer questions. This turns vocabulary drilling into a fun, competitive experience, helping learners stay engaged while improving their recall skills. Another key feature of gamification is the inclusion of social elements, whether it's competing against others on leaderboards or collaborating in language exchange groups. Social interaction plays a huge role for motivation. For example, Duolingo's leaderboards allow learners to see how they rank compared to others. For competitive learners, this can be a great motivator, pushing them to practice more and earn more points. On the flip side, some learners are more motivated by collaboration, and platforms like Busuu and Tandem provide opportunities for learners to help one another by providing feedback or sharing tips. The social aspect adds accountability, knowing that others can see your progress or lack of it, can encourage you to stay on track and keep improving. Now, gamification isn't just for apps. It can also be applied in traditional classroom settings. Teachers can use game mechanics to make language learning more dynamic, interactive, and engaging for students. Here are a few strategies. 1. Point systems and leaderboards. Just like Duolingo, teachers can implement point systems where students earn points for participation, correct answers, or completing assignments. Create a leaderboard where students can see how they rank, adding a friendly competitive edge to the learning environment. 2. Achievement badges. Create custom badges for different accomplishments, like mastering a set of vocabulary, completing a speaking task, or demonstrating improvement. Award these badges to students to recognize their efforts and progress. 3. Language learning challenges. Host challenges where students must complete specific tasks, such as holding a conversation for a set amount of time or using certain vocabulary in context. Reward winners with small prizes or extra points. 4. Group work and collaboration. Encourage students to work in groups to complete tasks. This adds a social element to the gamified learning experience and helps students support one another as they work towards a common goal. As we wrap up today's episode, it's clear that gamification is more than just a trend. It's a powerful tool that's transforming the way we learn languages. By making learning fun, engaging, and rewarding, gamification helps learners stay motivated, build confidence, and ultimately accelerate their progress. Whether you're learning a language on your own or teaching students in a classroom, incorporating gamification can make the process more enjoyable and effective. So why not give it a try? Download a Gamify app, set up your own point system, or introduce a little friendly competition in your learning environment. Who knows? You might just find yourself having fun while mastering a new language. And before continuing with this episode, I just want to remind you that new episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So make sure to tune in weekly for your dose of thought-provoking conversations. You can find our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can actually come and pay a visit to our website, mikedenglishonline.com, where you will find a lot of materials over there for language enthusiasts and teachers as well. You can download books for free, PPTs, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and follow us for more. And here we are. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the Languages Pedagogy podcast. I'd love to hear how you're using gamification in your language learning or teaching. Drop me a message and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, happy learning and keep leveling up.